Hi guys, it's Michelle. I hope you're all doing well. I'm excited. It's August 12th and it's 8:44 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, why am I excited about that? Well, let me tell you. Because it's my birthday. And I am a little bit behind on the Q post, so we are going to cover August 11th and August 12th. But please forgive me because it's my birthday. Yay! And in honor of my birthday, I'm going to sing you a little birthday song. Yeah, I am. And then I'm going to get right into the Q post. All right, here it is. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Wars and famines everywhere. People dying in despair. Happy birthday. Yeah. So with that, let's head right into Q. I may have to split this into two because there's a lot of stuff here. A lot. So let's do August 11th, and we'll see at that point. I may split and do the August 12th directly after that. But we'll see. I might go through them fast. One never knows. So this is the first one from August 11th, picking up from where we left off in the last video. And there's so much that's happened. I mean, so much that's happened. But let's just take these one at a time because I'm wanting to gallop ahead of myself. And that will be confusing to all of us. All right. Now, this is a poster that Q posted. And it's a little light here. I'm hoping that you can see it. Let me make it a little bit bigger. And it's a very good informational poster. Media consolidation, the illusion of choice. Media has never been more consolidated. 6 media giants now control a staggering 90% of what we read, watch, or listen to. So 6 media giants control 90%. That's astounding. Now, let's compare 1983 with 2011. In 1983, 90% of American media was owned by 50 companies. Now, that's not so bad, really. In 2011, that same 90% is controlled by 6 companies. These companies are GE, and notable properties: Comcast, NBC, Universal Pictures, Focus Features, News Corp, notable properties: Fox, Wall Street Journal, New York Post. Then Disney, of course, notable properties: ABC, ESPN, Pixar, Miramax, Marvel Studios. And Viacom, notable properties: MTV, Nick Jr., BET, CMT, Paramount Pictures. And Time Warner, notable properties: CNN, HBO, Time, Warner Brothers. And then finally CBS and their notable properties: Showtime, Smithsonian Channel, NFL.com, Jeopardy, 60 Minutes. So the people that are laughing at us when we say that all of the news is owned by a small percentage, 90% is owned by just a small handful of people, and they look at you and they laugh because they don't believe you. Well, it is true. It is true. And it's easily verifiable by anyone that wants to go out and check. And I'm not talking about you guys because I think that you're probably awake enough to realize that that's the case and has been for a while now. But there are people that don't believe, and they'll laugh at you, but they won't take the 10 minutes or so that it might take to check it out for themselves, which is sad, isn't it? To be so intellectually lazy. Now, I realize that not everybody has time to go out and research and so forth, and that's why I'm here. That's what I do, because I do enjoy doing it, and I know that people working full-time don't have the time. But if someone is putting others down, but won't take just 10 minutes out of their day to check it out, then that is intellectually lazy. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. All right, so let's go down from the post. This was posted by Q, and then he said fake news consolidation, propaganda arm of the Democratic Party. Now, we know that, and he has told us that before, but and what he is showing us in the picture above is that all the fake news is indeed consolidated into the hands of 6 companies. Interesting. And next he asks us to define antitrust laws. But we don't have to go ahead and define them because he does it for us. So let's take a look. The antitrust laws by the Federal Trade Commission protecting America's consumers. Congress passed the first antitrust law, the Sherman Act, and that will be important, the Sherman Act in 1890 as a comprehensive charter of economic liberty aimed at preserving free and unfettered competition as the rule of trade. In 1914, Congress passed 2 additional antitrust laws, the Federal Trade Commission Act, which created the FTC, and the Clayton Act. With some revisions, these are the 3 core federal antitrust laws still in effect today. The antitrust laws proscribe unlawful mergers and business practices in general terms, leaving courts to decide which ones are illegal based on the facts of each case. Courts have applied the antitrust laws to changing markets from a time of horse and buggies to the present digital age. Yet for over 100 years, the antitrust laws have had the same basic objective: to provide the process of competition for the benefit of consumers, making sure there are strong incentives for businesses to operate efficiently, keep prices down, and keep quality up. So it's against, monopolies, like people coming in and saying, well, we're the only one that provides cable, so we're going to charge $1,000 and you can't say anything about it, which would be ridiculous if they charged $1,000. I don't think anybody would have cable. Well, a few would. But anyway, and it says here's an overview of the 3 core federal antitrust laws, and I'm not sure how important this is to go over in depth, so I'm going to skip it for now, but if it becomes necessary to, I'll come back to it. I just want to be sure that we have a full understanding, without me belaboring it too long. So, the Sherman Act, which was the first one I mentioned, and that was the first law, I think it was 1890, if I remember correctly, outlaws every contract, combination, or conspiracy in restraint of trade, and any monopolization, attempted monopolization, or conspiracy or combination to monopolize. Which is interesting because I would think that these companies were, I guess they are in competition with one another, but I don't know. Now let's go take a look at this. And this is the Federal Trade Commission Competition Guidance Guide to Antitrust Laws. Free and open markets are the foundation of a vibrant economy. Aggressive competition among sellers in an open marketplace gives consumers, both individuals and businesses, the benefits of lower prices, higher quality products and services, more choices, and greater innovation. The FTC's competition mission is to enforce the rules of the competitive marketplace, the antitrust laws. These laws promote vigorous competition and protect consumers from anti-competitive mergers and business practices. The FTC's Bureau of Competition, working in tandem with the Bureau of Economics, enforces the antitrust laws for the benefit of consumers. The Bureau of Competition has developed a variety of resources to help explain its work. For an overview of the types of matters investigated by the Bureau, read Competition Courts. We're not going to get into all this, and I think that we've probably read the most important part there, so let's go back. So the FTC then is in charge of enforcing these 3 antitrust laws. Now, then Q says, beneath, the FTC's competition mission, I don't know why that strikes me as fun, competition mission, is to enforce the rules of the competitive marketplace, the antitrust laws. These laws promote vigorous competition and protect consumers from anti-competitive mergers and business practices. Reconcile. So what he's saying is, reconcile this, that 90% of what all Americans watch, read, or listen to is controlled by 6 companies. Reconcile that with the anti-competition laws, the Sherman Act, every contract, combination, or conspiracy in restraint of trade, any monopolization. Well, would you say that they have a monopoly? I would. And the FTC is supposed to be enforcing these. And that's to give us, a competitive marketplace. Well, do we have a competitive marketplace here in terms of media? All sorts of media? No. So, he says reconcile. Then he says plus Google, plus Facebook, plus Twitter. Are they not doing the same thing that these are doing? I mean, what choice do we have? If we are on social media, we've got Google, we've got Facebook, we've got Twitter. I mean, a lot of them are run, it's a monopoly. And I didn't even realize how much of a monopoly until all the conservatives started getting banned. And I went, holy crap. All these big guys are in bed together. They're all working off the same algorithms. And then he says, change we can believe in, Q. So I think what he's saying is the Mockingbird media is going to be facing some serious charges, as will Google, Facebook, Twitter, because they're all doing the same thing and they're all breaking the same antitrust laws. Fascinating. And I would agree. That is change we can believe in. Absolutely. I'd like to see change. I'd like to be able to say whatever it is I want to say, not hate speech, not against any particular group of people, but I'd like to be able to say what I'd like to say, Anyway, I'll leave that there. And we'll go up to the next. And Q reminds us that these people are stupid. And I don't think we really need to be reminded, but I know that there are always new people coming along and joining in, and there may be new people on this channel. And if you are new and listening to this channel, I apologize. I don't usually start broadcasts with singing, but this is a special broadcast to me because it's my birthday. And who works on their birthday? I do. That's because you guys deserve to hear the latest Q posts. And if I wait till tomorrow, I'll be 2 days behind, and then who knows? Because I think next week's going to be a big, big week. In fact, I would just about bet my life on it. Well, I would never bet my life on anything, but I'd bet you, could I bet you? I don't know. All right. Here's the next one. Oh, I didn't even finish this one. See, I'm all discombobulated. Okay, these people are stupid. Now, let's go to the link. The linkity link. All right. Close some of this down. All righty. Let's look here. WikiLeaks. Service of process. The documents below were posted on August 10th, 2018 for the purpose of serving process upon WikiLeaks in Democratic National Committee versus the Russian Federation et al. They're not going to give that up. I'm just letting you know right now, they're not ever going to give Russia up. We're going to be hearing about Russia forever until we probably all lose our freaking minds. The Russian Federation et al. 1 to 18 CV 03501 SDNY filed April 20th, 2018. And within these documents, we have the summons, the complaint, the electronic case filing rules and instruction, the U.S. District Court, Southern District of New York. Well, of course, it would be in the District of New York. Individual practices of Judge John G. Coital? It can't be Coital. Nobody has a last name named Coital, do they? That would be a very unfortunate last name. U.S. District Court, Southern District of New York. All right. Now, I'm not going to go I'll show these to you, but I'm not going to go through and read them all because, well, I think both you and I have better things to do. It's interesting. Like this, the summons in a civil action, WikiLeaks, a lawsuit has been filed against you. Within 60 days after service of this summons on you, not counting the day you received it, you must serve on the plaintiff an answer to the attached complaint or motion under Rule 12 of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure. The answer or motion must be served on the plaintiff or plaintiff's attorney, whose name and address are Joseph Sellers, blah, 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 blah. Why should we give him any? And then if you fail to respond, judgment by default may be entered against you for the relief demanded in the complaint. You also must file your answer in motion with the court. Now, there's a problem with that, isn't there? Because how can Julian Assange come to Washington to testify against this lawsuit when, he'd be picked up at this point? And this is by the DNC, trying to sue WikiLeaks. This is absolutely unbelievable. And to tell you the truth, some of this stuff, if I wasn't seeing it for myself and I was just hearing about it, I'd be like, right, sure. Because it's just out there. They're trying to sue WikiLeaks for releasing Hillary's emails that were, she probably had a password of password or something like that because, and of course it came from Seth Rich. He didn't do anything wrong in publishing that stuff. But anyway, that's my thoughts. And I'm not always right. No, really, I'm not. Okay, and here's the complaint, which is long. So I'm not going to go through all this because look, the Democrats like to complain, so there's a whole lot of this. There's 66 pages of complaints. I'm surprised there isn't 666 pages, but there's not. All right, so let's go back to here, because I really don't think that Q meant for us to see, read every single thing there, because that would be ridiculous. But anyway, Q says, never interfere with an enemy. Sorry, that was a yawn. It slipped out when I wasn't looking. Never interfere with an enemy while he's in the process of destroying himself. Now, Q has said this before. And so Q's like, well, they're just, they're cutting off their own noses to spite their face, as the old saying goes. And then discovery. Now, let's go and look at this. WikiLeaks says Senate panel requested Assange testimony for Russia probe. WikiLeaks is claiming that the Senate Intelligence Committee has asked its founder, Julian Assange, to testify as part of the panel's investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 presidential election. The organization posted a letter on its Twitter account dated August 1st that purports to come from committee leaders Senator Richard Burr and Mark Warner, requesting that he make himself available for a closed-door interview with bipartisan committee staff at a mutually agreeable time and location. So And I said this before, it might not have been in the last video, perhaps it was either the last or the one before that. I said, and what's going to happen exactly when Julian Assange gets up there and testifies? What Russian interference? There were no Russians. Had nothing to do with Russians. The only people that have colluded with the Russians are the Democrats. They're the only ones. And what's going to happen when Julian Assange says, yeah, the Russians that you're talking about, no, that was Seth Rich. You know, the guy you murdered right after. So, I don't know what's going to happen with all this, but it's like watching a train wreck. And it's like watching a train wreck that you don't want to see, but you can't take your eyes off it. And it's like some of this is like that. It's like, it's so out there. It's so convoluted. It's so that it's like, it just seems like a big tangled mess. But I know and I have faith that the things are coming together. There's a plan here. And I think that it's going forward with military precision. Precisely as it's supposed to. I think that there have been a lot of things thwarted. I really do. I believe that with all of my heart, that there are some things that the deep state had planned that have been thwarted. And I pray that that continues. So, Q says, do you believe in coincidences? And then he says, we have the source. Q. Now, what does he mean by that? We have the source. He's either saying we have the source of all this, we have it, or he's saying we have Julian Assange. Because these guys are filing a lawsuit against him that would force him to come and answer to that, and the Senate has requested that he come and testify in terms of the Russian collusion nonsense. And Q says, do you believe in coincidences? So obviously these two things are not coincidences, but he's not worried because he says we have the source. Q. Now, I'm tempted to think that he means we have Julian Assange because we don't know where Julian Assange is. We can assume that he's still at the embassy, but we don't know. We don't know. So we may think we know a lot of things that we don't. You know, I'm beginning to think that because you'll think, oh, no, this person's over there, they're doing this, and then you find out, or you'll think that they're, a black hat, and you find out they're a white hat. It's just, this has more twists and turns. If somebody was writing this as a novel, no one would read it because they'd say that is not believable. Seriously. But truth is far, far, far stranger than fiction. So let me know what you think we have the source means. What do you think? Do you have any different ideas than I have? Because I'd love to hear them. And, there's usually some really good things in the comments. So, all right, let's go up to the next one, August 11th. And here we're going to go out to this snake in the grass, his Twitter, Bill Maher. Don't like the man, and I've never liked the man, and I didn't know why. Now I do. Now, what's he saying here?
Don't want us to call them stupid. They have to stop coming up with things like Q. Oh, you heard? Yeah, it was just a few months ago in this space that I was talking about how Republicans are now the conspiracy party, and that there is literally nothing so ridiculous they won't swallow. Birth certificate, chemtrails, Jade Helm, lizard people. And now we have Q. What is Q? Well, Q is a person, but we don't know who it is. We just know it's someone with super high Q-level security clearance, so he knows all the shit that goes on in the deep state. Namely, that our government is riddled with a rogue criminal element that is interested in evil in general, but their specialty is pedophilia. And why not? Almost half of Trump voters.
I wanted to stop this for a second because No one's laughing there. That is a laugh track. If you listen, it's just a laugh track in there. And you guys probably picked up on that yourself, but I wanted to point that out. That and because who laughs at pedophilia? Anyway, let's continue for a minute.
Voters already believed that Hillary Clinton ran a child sex ring out of a pizza parlor. But it turns out that was just the tip of the iceberg, and frankly, it would be easier to find a powerful person who isn't a pedophile. George Soros is one, and so are the Rothschilds, J.P. Morgan, John McCain, the Illuminati, Tom Hanks, Steven Spielberg, and every president since Reagan. But not Trump. Oh, no. Oh, no. In the Q world, he's the superhero whose whole life has been a cover so he could be in place to strike back against the pedophile rings. And then it starts to get weird. Republicans, please help me. Help me help you. Help me help you. Because like it or not, we are family, and you are like a brother to me. A sick, alcoholic brother who's lost his fucking mind.
I think that's enough of that for me anyway. If you go to Twitter and go to Bill Maher, you can listen to the whole thing for yourself. I did want to play you a sampling. And Bill Maher here says, I, Q, need your help to make America great again. Keep posting your memes. Keep believing everything Trump tells you. And above all, on Tuesday, November 6th, stay at home. And of course, that's the election, midterm elections. So, yeah. Well, let's go back and see what Q has to say here. Now, this is interesting because, of course, Bill Maher was making fun of pedophiles. Oh, everybody's a pedophile. This person's a pedophile. All the presidents are pedophiles. And, you know, and he's got the laugh track behind him laughing. Well, isn't this interesting? In response to that, Q says, do you remember their names? We do. Do you really believe you are still safe? Protected? The world is watching. Q. Now, who do you think that was directed at? I can guarantee you that was directed straight at Bill Maher. And he's saying to Bill Maher, do you remember their names? We do. Do you really believe you are still safe? He obviously thinks he's safe, right? Or he wouldn't be saying things like that. Do you believe you're still protected? The world is watching, and quite literally, the world is watching. So now let's go up to the next. Now, Q posts this once again, and is making reference to this that he posted, and then he's saying. And this was the whole post that he posted. Remember the fake news, consolidation, and Google, Facebook, Twitter, change we can believe in. And he's making reference to that. And he's giving us a little bit more information. And we are going to come back to Bill Maher here, in case you wonder. Q does touch on it again. But let's take a look at this. The Telecommunications Act of 1996 was the first significant overhaul of the telecommunications law in more than 60 years, amending the Communications Act of 1934. The act, signed by who? President Bill Clinton, represented a major change in American telecommunication law, since it was the first time that the internet was included in broadcasting and spectrum allotment. One of the most controversial titles was Title III, Cable Services, which allowed for media cross-ownership. According to the Federal Communications Commission, FCC, the goal of the law was to let anyone enter any communications business, to let any communications business compete in any market against any other. The legislation's primary goal was deregulation of the converging broadcasting and telecommunications markets. However, the law's regulatory policies have been questioned, including the effects of dualistic re-regulation of the communications market. Let's go back. And Q also wants us to look at this. And this is FCC, Telecommunications Act of 1996. The Telecommunications Act of 1996 is the first major overhaul of telecommunications law in almost 62 years. The goal of the new law is to let anyone enter any communications business, to let any communications business compete in any market against any other. The Telecommunications Act of 1996 has the potential to change the way we work, live, and learn. It will affect telephone service, local and long distance, cable programming, and other video services, broadcast services, and services provided to schools. The Federal Communications Commission has a tremendous role to play in creating fair rules for this new era of competition. At this internet site, we will provide information about the FCC's role in implementing this new law, how you can get involved, and how these changes might impact you. This page will include information listing the proceedings. The FCC will compete to open up local phone markets, increase competition in long distance, and other steps. You will find copies of news releases summarizing action, announcements of meetings where these items will be discussed, and charts describing the work ahead of us and where within the FCC and when it will be completed. Please note, some of the links on this page lead to resources outside the FCC. The presence of these links should not be taken as an endorsement by the FCC of these sites or their content. For more information, blah, 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 blah. All right, so there we are, and I'm not going to go down through everything. I am going to go back and see what Q wants to tell us. He's saying that Bill Clinton set the stage. And we know that because he is the one that enacted this. And he says, plan. Could a new Telecommunications Act be on the way? Q. So Bill Clinton signed the Telecommunications Act of 1996. The goal of this new law was to let anyone enter any communications business, to let any communications business compete in any market against any other. But is that happening? Really? I don't see that happening. I don't see how the FCC is enforcing that at all. Because it seems like all the power is concentrated into the hands of very, very, very few. So, anyway, let's continue. Now, this is interesting, and I'll tell you why. I was up while this was happening. It wasn't last night, it was the night before. Must have been. Well, August 11th. Must have been yesterday. And anyway, I was following this. And it's really interesting because I was following it. Nobody seemed to know what was going on. And then I heard the cockpit recording of him in the tower. And I'm thinking, no way. There is no way that pilot is making that recording. That's what I said to myself. And I didn't know anything at that time except a plane had been stolen. And then I saw the pictures coming in of the plane doing a barrel roll. Now, I'm going to show you in a minute, but that plane did a barrel roll, came so close to the water and then pulled up. Now, there is no way a man without a pilot's license who he says, "Oh, I know what I'm doing. I've played video games." Come on, do get video games? Train you to fly an airplane. This isn't a small plane. And he does a barrel roll and all sorts of weird configurations with the plane, and seems all cool and relaxed about it and joking. And to me, it was like somebody almost playing a joke on the tower, because it seems unbelievable. But let's get into this. And notice it was a Q400, a Q400. Great. See, we see a big Q on the tail. Now, it's interesting. We're going to see a lot of different things in here. And Q says, autists, catch the message? So we're to take from this that this whole thing is a message. Think missile. Do you believe in coincidences? Q. Now, all this is going to be explained, but let me go through this here. All right. First, let me go out here. Okay. Now, it says dramatic video showing the Alaska Air Horizon Bombardier Q400. Now, hang on. Let me stop this for a second. Dramatic video showing the Alaska Air Horizon Bombardier Q400 doing a barrel roll and a fighter jet nearby. Plane stolen by an airline employee at Seattle SeaTac Airport. The plane crash shortly after. Two things here, okay? Number one, this plane, this airline was formerly owned by, guess who? Virgin Air, Richard Branson. Now remember, he has his own little pedo island, right? Pedo island, whatever. That's interesting, okay? Then it's a Q400, but you tell me if you think that this is just some employee that wandered into an airplane and they're able to take off perfectly fine, and look at how this plane is flying. Now you tell me. It's completely upside down at this point, doing a loop-de-loop. And now a barrel roll, I guess a barrel roll. And look at how close he's coming to the water.
What the hell is this guy doing?
Then he pulls up. You really think that guy has never flown a plane before? Because I don't believe it. I didn't believe it the first time I saw it. And followed by a fighter jet. There were two of them. I don't know who's laughing there. Now, what I want to tell you is when I was, and I can't find it now, but I saw a very, very, very clear picture, video, while all this was ongoing. Somebody took a video and it was clear. You can see something come from the fighter jet, hit underneath the airplane, and the airplane catch on fire. It did not crash on its own, and I don't care who tells you that, they're lying, because I saw it with my own eyes. I saw it. Now, I don't know where it is, what happened to it, if it's been scrubbed, I don't know. But I'm telling you, that plane was shot down. And, you know, you can see the way the guy is flying it quite skillfully. And then all of a sudden, you know, the fighter jet is behind it, and then all of a sudden it just goes down. I don't think so. Now, the guy, you know, if we can believe there was even a pilot in it, I believe that it was a drone. That's what I believe. Do I have proof of that? Nope. I'm just telling you what I personally believe. I believe it was a drone. I don't think that there was a pilot in there, and I think that they were having a lot of fun messing with the tower. And you can tell by the language, like the language back and forth. It's just ridiculous. I don't think anybody would talk that way. Anyway, we'll get to that. Let's get out of here, and here, and here, and here, and here, and here. Okay, let's go back. So, here's the other thing. There's a lot of stuff with this. And I think I may have to do a whole video on this when I have time. There's so much stuff in this. It's absolutely, like, I could probably do 2 hours worth of video just on this stuff, because the more you look, the more you find. Anyway, look at the flight pattern. Some have said this equals a Q. I have seen another one where he came out here and it looked more like a Q than this one does. But he's flying over and over and over and over and over a little island. Why? Why is he flying around and around and around and around this little island that hardly anyone has ever heard about? Do you know what the population of this island is? 17. There's 17 people that live on that island. It's remote. Not a lot of people have heard of it. It's heavily treed. But there's a population of 17, and yet they have their own ferry service, which makes no sense to me. Now, I happen to live near some islands, and I know that 2 of them have ferry service, but they've got a lot of people living on them. And they have a regular ferry service because it's just part of the roadway. That's how they consider it. You don't have to pay for the ferry. It's free. It's part of, upkeep like roads and things. But, I find it hard to believe that they have regular ferry service for 17 people. 17. Oh, what? 17. Oh, yes, the 17th letter of the alphabet is a Q. A Q. So he flies in a Q pattern over a very remote, little-known island that has 17 people on board, or 17 people that live there on board a Q400. Interesting. Interesting. Could be a coincidence. Let's go on. NORAD says FAA reported stolen aircraft from SeaTac Airport and requested assistance. 2 F-15s dispatched, flew supersonic and intercepted the aircraft and were working to redirect it when it crashed. Yeah, they were working to redirect it, all right. They were working at redirecting it into the ground. The fighter jets did not fire on the aircraft. That is bullcrap, because I saw it. Now, if somebody can explain to me what else it could be, then I'm perfectly reasonably fine to say, okay, I was wrong. But until somebody can explain to me and find that video and explain to me what it is, then I'm telling you, they shot it down. So let's go here. I can't remember what this is. Oh, it's another one. And he's completely upside down here. And he's doing a barrel roll. A man that's never piloted a plane and has only played video games comes that close to the water without crashing and is skillful enough to pull it up. No way. This one shows the, I think it does show the fighter. Yep, here comes the one fighter. I think this one maybe does show the flash, but I'm not sure. Watch the fighter. Oh man, I thought it did show that. Maybe it doesn't. Well, this is 10 minutes long. This is not the one I thought.
You're at 2,100
Okay.
pounds.
Let's see.
And
400. What the fuck is he doing over here?
Yeah.
That's not cool.
Sorry for the language.
He's looking for somewhere to fucking land.
What is happening?
I don't know. He should never be that low over here.
No.
That's an Alaska Airlines flight.
Holy crap. Where is he going?
Where-
A second there, because of the way it looked when he was going over the garage, it looked like
Where's he
was
going?
crashing.
Go get the truck keys and get my wallet.
I got a lot of people that care about me, and it's going to disappoint them to hear that I did this. I would like to apologize to each and every one of them. Just a broken guy. Got a few screws loose, I guess. Never really knew it until now. I'm down to 2,100. I started like 30-something. 100 pounds of fuel.
Rich, you said you're at 2,100 pounds of fuel left?
Yeah, I don't know what the burnout is like on takeoff, but yeah, it burned quite a bit faster than I expected.
Okay. There is the runway just off your right side in about a mile. Do you see that? That's McCord Field.
Oh man, those guys would rough me up if I tried landing there. I think I might mess something up there too. I wouldn't want to do that. Hopefully, they probably got anti-aircraft.
No, they don't have any of that stuff. We're just trying to find a place for you to land safely.
Yeah, not quite ready to bring it down just yet, but holy smokes, I gotta stop looking at the fuel because it's going down quick.
Okay, Rich, if you could you start a left-hand turn, and we'll take you down to the southeast, please.
This is probably like jail time for life, huh? I mean, I would hope it is for a guy like me.
And
Okay, very good, thank you.
right now he's just flying around, and he just needs some help controlling his aircraft.
Very good. Nah, I mean, I don't need that much help. I played some video games before. I would like to figure out how to get this cabin altitude. Like, I know where the box is. I would like to get some, make it pressurized or something, so I'm not so lightheaded. Anyway, minimum wage. We'll chalk it up to that. Maybe that'll grease the gears a little bit with the higher ups. Maybe, yeah. Damn it, Andrew! People's lives are at stake here.
Now, Rich, don't say stuff like that.
Nah, I told you I'm not. I don't want to hurt no one. I just want you to whisper sweet nothings into my ear. Hey, you think if I land this successfully, Alaska will give me a job as a pilot?
I think they would give you a job of doing anything if you could pull this off.
Yeah, right. Nah, I'm a white guy, eh?
If you wanted to land, probably the best bet is that runway just ahead and to your left. Again, that's McCord Field. If you wanted to try, that might be the best way to set up and see if you can land there. Or just like the pilot suggests, another option would be over Puget Sound into the water.
Dang, did you talk to McCord yet? Because I don't think I'd be happy with you telling me I could land like that, because I could mess some stuff up.
Well, Rich, I already talked to him, and just like me, what we want to see is you not get hurt or anybody else get hurt. So like I said, if you want to try to land, that's probably the best place to go.
Hey, I want the coordinates of that orca with the, the mama orca with the baby. I want to go see that guy.
Stay on the ground.
All right. Damn it. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't want to. I was kind of hoping that was going to be it, I'm going to land it. Like, in a safe kind of manner. I think I'm we'll try to do a barrel roll. And if that goes good, then I'll just go nose down and call it a night.
Well, Rich, before you do that, let's think about this. I got another pilot coming up, Pilot Joel, here in just a minute or two, I hope. And we'll be able to give you some advice on what to do next.
Just flying the plane around, you seem comfortable with that?
Oh, hell yeah, it's a blast, man. I played video games before, so I know what I'm doing a little bit.
Okay, and you can see all the terrain around you. You've got no issue with visibility or anything?
Nah, everything's peachy clean. Just did a little circle around Rainier. It's beautiful. I think I got some gas to go check out the Olympics. And, yeah.
I think it's when right now that it see, did you see it? Now, I saw one much clearer than this, but let's take this back for a minute because I want you guys to know I'm not crazy. I really did see this.
And,
okay, well, let me try and, okay, do you see that light? It came from here and now it's just touched the plane. I know it's very hard to see and you're, especially if you're on a phone, but see, now this comes from the front to the back, that light. So I don't know how many times it's been shot or I don't know how this works, but I'm telling you that plane was shot and it crashed right after that. So what are the chances? Let's look at it again. Let's see if I'll get this as big as I can get it. All right. And let's look at it again. Watch really closely. Keep your eye on the hijacked plane, the so-called hijacked plane, and you'll see. See?
I got that.
So you can't tell me that wasn't shot. It clearly looked as if it was shot, and that's what caused it because it crashed right after this. So, yeah. Anyway, I know I probably belabored that, but I wanted you to hear the communication with the tower because does that sound like somebody that's just so depressed and wants to die? I mean, they're up there like, man, this is beautiful. I think I got some gas. I'll go to the Olympics. I mean, it just, there's so much wrong with this. And that's just touching on it. Because, as it turns out, let me see. Let me go to another page that I had started about all of this. As it turns out, oh, what are the odds that the island, which is so tiny, which the plane crashed on, has a population of 17 people? Yes, 17. Q is the 17th letter in the alphabet. I know I told you that already, but it bears telling you again. And then, I mean, look at this island. It's not a big island. It's very tiny, but he's circling and circling and circling. Why would he circle the island? Wouldn't it be easier to just fly the plane straight? I would think. But nope, he does loop-de-loops and barrel rolls and 17. Okay, this is the one that I saw that looks more like a Q to me. And here, this is from an anon. I grabbed it from the boards, the Chans. And this anon says, guys, this plane crash, man. I'm in Western Washington, have been for years. I am 9 miles from this Ketron Island. I never knew it was there. Only one ferry goes there once a day. Only 20 people live there, well actually 17. It appears to have an airport and some bunkers from the water side. Anyway, my house is by backside closest port. We got clowns, boys, lots of them, plus sheriffs, plus a bunch of municipalities out there. I did a little digging on this island. There is fuckery afoot. Excuse my language. I really dislike. But anyway, I think we have an Epstein version too, and I found one of the residents that lives there, Pham and Ohar, like Bruce. It was named and discovered by Charles Wilkes. This place is super hidden, and that plane targeted it. Clowns all over, Fox as well. This base is a stone's throw to Bill Gates. Yeah, so it's not that far from Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, the DuPonts, Fort Lewis Army Base, McCord Airfare Base, I think he means Air Force Base, and 7 miles as the crow flies to Bangor Submarine Base. This is a serious dig. Now, you ready for another interesting fact? Well, Puget Sound is Puget Sound is right beyond where that island is. Right there is Puget Sound, okay? And Puget Sound is where Whidbey Island is. Now, that was where the missile was launched at Air Force One. So the coincidences just keep coming and coming and coming, right? And there's the link to the ferry. I'm not going to go out there. It just basically says what we already know. It comes once a day. It's a nice ferry. It's a big ferry, considering that there's only a few people on there, the island. Now, international fraudster and sexual predator Gary Lundgren has ties to the Ketron Island sewage system. During the campaign in 2015, Trump filed suit with the Paris-based International Chambers of Commerce against Lundgren. And let me see what else here. This is, I have no idea what this is, but that's on the island. Anyway, and his business partners claiming that they entered into a conspiracy against Trump in a business deal in Panama. Lundgren has a history of being a shady businessman, once finding himself in court in Washington over the mismanagement of the Ketron sewage system. Interesting. And just to boot, he has a history of being accused of being a sexual predator. Now, this is a website showing that Trump sought $25 million in damages from this man. I'm not going to certainly read it all, but it will at least show you. Analysis and commentary on money laundering and financial crime. Trump seeks $75 million in damages against Gary Lundgren and other Trump Ocean Club directors. So, not sure what that's all about, and not going to get into all that because I would like to do an in-depth study and all this stuff, but right now there's just too much stuff, and Q is dropping too much stuff to be able to do everything in depth. But now this person says, this person has brought this to our attention. One more interesting fact about that plane series, there were only 45 of them made. 45. Not to state the obvious, but POTUS is number 45. This just gets wilder and wilder. Now, this is the interesting thing because, it was a Q400. That plane company, Alaskan Airlines, was formerly owned by Richard Branson, who has a pedo island himself. There are allegations that the same type of activities are taking place on this island, that there are underground tunnels and that all sorts of nefarious things go on there. There were only 45 of these planes made. It's a Q400. The plane made a Q over an island, a very remote island. I mean, is this starting to sound very strange to you? Because it sounds really strange to me. Now, This is from an Anon. Rich was not even on the plane. He sounds too calm to be on a plane operating it with slick maneuvers. The plane was remotely operated, i.e. being used as a missile. But what was the target? Was it Seattle? Amazon headquarters? I think the cabal was going to strike one of their own and blame it on Russia. Remember, Trump just added more sanctions on the oligarchs. Bezos would have no problem with a little loss for the benefit of his handlers, but good guys overrode the controls and loop-de-looped the plane before crashing it into the ocean, sending a message to cabal that it does not have control of any planes. Remember the failed JetBlue at DC. Now, this is what I think is a reasonable explanation, because I believe that it was a drone. There's no way that somebody who has never operated a plane was on that plane. So I think it was drone controlled, all right? And I think that it was meant to probably hit some target and maybe blame it on Russia, maybe blame it on whatever, They probably would have said, well, this guy was a Q supporter or whatever. I don't know what the plan was to do with this plane, but I think that it was hijacked by the good guys. That's what I think. And I think that F-15 or 16, whatever it was, shot it down. And shot it down over an island which they knew very well was being used for trafficking. And I think the big Q that he made was just a in your face. I don't know, but anything you guys have to say, please put it in the comments below, because I'm open to other interpretations. I'm just trying to, at this point, guess what could be going on, and I don't know. I don't have any more answers than you do at this point. And it says, okay, theory time. The Q400 was remote controlled. It was a diversion war game tactic to divert F-15s over that island and take out some kitty raping dungeon operation. Prove me wrong. Well, that's another. It could be. I don't know. And then this person says, Black Hats remote controlled a plane to crash on Ketron Island. I don't know. Black Hats planned a launch from Whidbey, so White Hats sent an F-16 to destroy the missile with the Q-400 as a cover. I don't think any of us know. We don't know. And there's a lot more stuff here, but I'm not going to get into it, or this video will be like, 3 hours long. So I'm going to get back to the Q post at this point, but this is something that we do need to continue to look into. Absolutely. Now, I think that was all I had there for that. Yes, so let's go up to the next Q post. And we've got the same picture. Q's referring to this post that he did where he said, Otis, catch the message? Think missile. Do you believe in coincidences? Nope. And it isn't a coincidence that this happened in the exact same vicinity as the missile that was shot at Air Force One. Now, he tells us to go out to here. And so we will. Stolen plane crashes after airline employee takes off from Seattle airport. Now, I don't think that it's necessary for us to, let me see here. Well, that's maybe a closer look at the craziness. Wondering if this is going to show the I can hear somebody laughing in the background, which is odd to me. Okay, and then they just cut. Of course, they cut the part where it's shot down and they show the smoke and over the island. Now, the other interesting thing is, from what I've heard, they haven't found a body. Why is that? Maybe because there was no body, because it was being remote controlled. Could be. All right. Now, so we've got that, and then Q says boom, 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 boom. Next week, Q. So there's 4 booms there. I'm not sure what to say about those, except that we're to expect something next week. And next week is bolded and in kill brackets. So there's something coming. So I guess we'll just have to keep our eyes and ears open. Now, here's the next one. How do you prevent the public release of incriminating acts that would forever strip their power away? And that is exactly what the deep state is trying to do. They want to prevent the public release of their incriminating acts because it will forever strip their power away. Well, what if they started a war with Russia? Which is what they want to do. How do you bind the hands of POTUS? Well, I think if they started a war with Russia, it would pretty much bind the hands of POTUS, because anything that POTUS did, they would say, oh, well, of course, he's in collusion with Russia. He's not on our side. And Q says 2-pronged situation. 1, test strength of midterms through private analysis, win-loss ratio. So they're testing the strength in the midterms, and it's not looking so good for them. Not looking so good at all. So analysis below key metric without chance for recovery. So their analysis shows them below the key metric that they need, and they don't have any chance for recovery. And if they keep walking people out like that, what's her, Cassio, or what's her name? She's literally, I don't know how she breathes on her own. Because some of the things that I've heard her say in interviews, like, she does not have a clue. Like, are they trying, to derail themselves? Why? I don't know. Anyway, so their analysis is below the key metric and they don't have any chance for a recovery. So what are they going to do? Start a war. Think missile, and then he put S in brackets, accidentally fired. So there were more than one missile. There was more than one missile. Think missile accidentally fired. Against who? And we're going to look at that in a minute. Russia. They're not talking about any of these 2 missiles. They're not talking about the missile that was fired at Air Force One, nor are they talking about the shooting down this Q-400. Relationships are very important. The sharing of information is very important. Q. So these are the key takeaways from these articles regarding fired missile on August 8th. Now, I did glean this from the Great Awakening board because it was put so succinctly. They are looking for the missile. They don't know if it detonated, but the Estonian Prime Minister, Jüri Ratas, thanked God on Facebook that there were no casualties. How would he know if the missile has not been found? A NATO fighter guarding its nervous northern states accidentally fired a secret air-to-air missile near the border with Russia yesterday, and let's go out and see this. Well, let's finish reading first. It was an area 100 kilometers from Russia's border, but the missile is capable of flying between 75 kilometers and 120 kilometers. It carries an explosive warhead. It was called accidental, even though to launch a missile, the pilot would first have to rotate the master arm switch to live, then operate the late arm switch on the trigger itself. Even then, the weapon will not fire unless there is a target already in the jet's computer or the pilot has selected dogfight mode. Curiouser and curiouser. Oh, come on. Okay, a Spanish Eurofighter accidentally fired a secret missile. It landed somewhere near Russia. Spain has lost a top secret missile on the border of Russia. Now NATO's scrambling to find it before it falls into the wrong hands. A NATO fighter guarding its nervous northern states accidentally fired a secret air-to-air missile near the border with Russia yesterday. They still can't find it. Sorry, that was probably very loud in your ears. They still can't find it. The Spanish Eurofighter Typhoon was policing the border of Estonia to deter Russian incursions and keeping an eye on their activity over the Baltic Sea. While taking part in a routine training maneuver over the southeast Estonian town of Pangodi, the Typhoon accidentally triggered an AMRAAM, an advanced medium air-to-air missile. It was engaged in a mock dogfight involving another Spanish Typhoon and 2 French Mirage 2000 fighters. It was an area 100 kilometers from Russia's border, but the missile is capable of flying between 75 kilometers and 120 kilometers. It carries an explosive warhead. The missile's final trajectory is not known. Excuse me. So, the advanced missile filled with sensitive software and sensors has a self-destruct facility for such incidents, but NATO isn't sure this activated. It may be sitting on the ground somewhere. Estonian authorities have initiated an urgent search for the weapon and appealed for anyone who may have seen it to step forward. Military helicopters and emergency services have been called in on the hunt. Yeah, that's a little bit strange to me too. Seems like there's a lot of odd things happening. And Q is saying relationships are very important. So, yeah, they are very important. And of course, he's talking about relationships between countries. Now, here's the next one from August 11, and it just says simply Iron Eagle. Now, I have seen different people say different things about this, and I'm not sure which one I think is more feasible. I personally think that this one is. It's a movie called Iron Eagle, and it says Texans with no regard for safety, and these students were taken in by Chappie as a means of rehabilitating them. Doug is not happy to be an instructor to the delinquents. Still, he shows no interest in training them. She attempts to take her training plane and fly out to Mexico. Upon landing the plane, Wheeler and her co-pilot, Randy Marlowe, encounter a platoon that is ordered to kill them. Doug intervenes, allowing the teens to leave the airbase. Chappie is told of the incident, and he and Major General Brad Kettle head to the base that night to investigate on that platoon's activity on the storage bunker. Doug leaves the school, frustrated that his life came apart when he was imprisoned. Chappie is given a notice by the State Patrol that his flight program is terminated immediately, and his students are returned to juvenile hall. Wheeler, however, avoids capture and steals a plane, creating a diversion that allows the students to hijack the bus. Now, what does that mean? How does that apply? I don't know, but it's interesting that in that movie, there is a plane stolen. So, don't know. Let me know what you guys think, because I would be very, very interested to know. And yeah, I would be very interested to know what you think about that and what you think Iron Eagle means. Now, I'm hoping that this is, it's still August 11th, okay. I'm wanting to see how much we have left here, because I'm not sure. I might need to split this because it's getting very long. And I think I am. I think I'm going to have to split that there, because we've had a very, very long video here already. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up exactly where I left off, which is right here. And I'm going to upload this now, and I'm going to start recording this immediately. So hopefully by the time you stop with this one will be ready. Well, that's the way it should work, but not sure that's the way it will work. Anyway, that's it for this one, and I'm going to pick up right here just momentarily as soon as this is uploaded. Thank you guys for listening. Have a good night. Stay safe.